finalizing our discussion from selfishness to selflessness, we continue our discussion on the virtues and the vices from St. John of Damascus, from the Philokalia. Every man possesses that which is according to the image of God, for the gifts of God are irrevocable, Romans 11:29. But only a few, those who are virtuous and holy and have imitated the goodness of God to the limit of human powers, possess that which is according to the likeness of God. May we too be found worthy of His sublime compassion, having conformed ourselves to Him through good actions, and become imitators of all who have ever been faithful servants of Christ. For mercy is His, and to Him are due all glory, honor, and worship, together with His unoriginate Father and His all-holy, blessed, and life-creating Spirit, now and always, and through all the ages. Amen. In finalizing our discussion from selfishness to selflessness, I wanted to read to you a really beautiful work by Theophanus the monk, also from the Philokalia, called The Ladder of Divine Graces, which experience has made known to those inspired by God. And frankly, it is a manual for how to have an out-of-body experience. So I'd like you to listen to Theophanus' words very carefully. The Ladder of Divine Graces. The first step is that of purest prayer. From this there comes a warmth of heart, and then a strange holy energy. Then tears wrung from the heart God-given. Then peace from thoughts of every kind. From this arises purging of the intellect, and next the vision of heavenly mysteries. Unheard of light is born from this ineffably, and thence beyond all telling the heart's illumination. Last comes a step that has no limit, though compassed in a single line, perfection that is endless, the ladder's lowest step. Prescribes pure prayer alone, but prayer has many forms. My discourse would be long were I now to speak of them, and friend, know that always experience teaches one, not words. A ladder rising wondrously to heaven's vault, 10 steps that vivify strangely the soul, 10 steps that herald the soul's life. A saint inspired by God has said, do not deceive yourself with idle hopes, that in the world to come you will find life, if you have not tried to find it in this present world. 10 steps, a wisdom born of God. 10 steps, fruit of all the books. 10 steps that point towards perfection. 10 steps that lead one up to heaven. 10 steps through which a man knows God. The ladder may seem short indeed, but if your heart can inwardly experience it, you will find a wealth the world cannot contain, a God-like fountain flowing with unheard of life. This 10-graced ladder is the best of masters, clearly teaching each to know its stages. If when you behold it, you think you stand securely on it, ask yourself on which step you stand, so that we, the indolent, may also profit. My friend, if you want to learn about all this, detach yourself from everything, from what is senseless, from what seems intelligent. Without detachment, nothing can be learned. Experience alone can teach these things, not talk. Even if these words once said by one of God's elect strike harshly, I repeat them to remind you. He who has no foothold on this ladder, who does not ponder always on these things, when he comes to die will know. Terrible fear, terrible dread, will be full of boundless panic. My lines end on a note of terror. Yet it is good that this is so. Those who are hard of heart, myself the first, are led to repentance, led to a holy life, less by the lure of blessings promised than by fearful warnings that inspire dread. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. You who have written this, hear then, and take note. Void of all these graces, how have you dared to write such things? How do you not shudder to expound them? Have you not heard what Uzzah suffered when he tried to stop God's ark from falling? Do not think that I speak as one who teaches. I know as one whose words condemn himself, knowing the rewards awaiting those who strive, knowing my utter fruitlessness. So we've discussed the path from selfishness to selflessness, as I mentioned that I had been told by Jesus Christ in a near-death experience that that is the journey of all of us on this earth. And I wanted to share with you a few other books that can take you on a much more profound journey into selflessness if you will take the time to really peruse their words. Along with these books, you can consider the Philokalia, which we have used in this presentation. I have 4 volumes. I believe there are at least 5, perhaps 6 volumes of the Philokalia. My favorite book to recommend to everyone is by Father Adolf Tanqueray. It's called The Spiritual Life, a treatise on ascetical and mystical theology. It is profoundly in-depth on how to attain to the virtues in your life and to expunge the vices. This book is indispensable and is worth every penny you will pay for it. The next book I recommend to everyone I meet is Introduction to the Devout Life by St. Francis de Sales. Everything I just said about Father Adolf Tanqueray's book, The Spiritual Life, applies. This book will change your life. It will show you the path to selflessness. The Imitation of Christ by Thomas Kempis is also an excellent addition to those books. Finally, one of my favorite mystical writers of all time was St. Catherine of Siena. And the dialogue of St. Catherine of Siena outlines the entire path of salvation and how we attain it individually through the purification of our souls. I cannot regard any book with higher esteem than the dialogues of St. Catherine of Siena. And finally, one devotional of many that I love, but this one is just profoundly great, is called Divine Intimacy, Meditations on the Interior Life for Every Day of the Liturgical Year. This is written by Father Gabriel of St. Mary Magdalene. And as you see in this book, it goes through every liturgical day of the year and helps you to contemplate that interior life, that purification, how you are practicing those virtues and or vices, and how to change that. So thank you for joining us for this presentation on going from selfishness to selflessness, which is the profoundest path to having an out-of-body experience. You have a great day. Thanks for joining us, and welcome to the Out-of-Body Travel Foundation. Please join us at outofbodytravel.org, where you can download all of our books, music, art, and magazines for free on the subject of out-of-body travel. And you can go there and enjoy a lot of video and other instructional materials, and everything is free. We'll see you there.